Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. And hello again, dear ones. Reverend Robert with you here on the New Thought Media Network on a Friday evening. And that means it is time for the good news, our opportunity to take a break each week and look at some of the good news stories that are coming across my desk and reminding me, and I trust you as well, that we really are creating a world that works for all. Normally, you don't hear us talk about politics on this show very much, but we've got some good news coming out of Washington, D.C. The U.S. House of Representatives has passed the Build Back Better Act, which includes some of the most sweeping measures to date to limit out-of-pocket copay costs for insulin. Yes, that's right. This legislation creates a out-of-pocket copay limit of $35 per month for insulin. If you didn't know, insulin prices have been rising and rising and rising, and it's been making it really hard for people that need insulin to carry on a normal life. Now, this is really a great measure. The bill does have to go to the Senate, of course, and we need this to pass the Senate as well. So please call your senators and write them an email and let them know that you really want this in the Build Back Better legislation, and you really want us as a human race to support the people of this country with a cap to how much they have to spend on insulin. Good work to the U.S. House of Representatives. Now let's see if the Senate will get on board with this as well. Hey, here on the Good News, we'd like to look at good news stories from all over the planet, and this one came to us from Germany. I found it on the website goodnewsnetwork.org, which we use a lot, and we find a lot of our stories over there. Again, this one comes from Germany, and this company is designing prefab facades that turn buildings into energy producers rather than energy wasters. Company's called EcoWorks, and the panels that they make come with built-in solar panels and insulation, and that means they can be put on almost any building in as little as 20 minutes. They're made from wood that it's harvested after it's achieved optimal carbon capture. And they have a demonstration set up in an apartment block from the 1930s that at one time used 450 kilowatt hours per square meter of space. And they were able, it doesn't say exactly how much they were able to drop that, but it does say, the article here does say that they were able to drop that considerably. From the person who wrote an original article in Fast Company also stated that in Germany, over 30 million buildings are in need of renovation over the last 5 years to meet prescribed climate targets. This is the wave of the future, folks. We're going to need stuff like this all over the planet if all of our countries are going to make our Paris Accord agreements and the goals that we've set It has become so inexpensive to heat, cool, and power these buildings that the solar panels on the roof made it a carbon negative building. Wow. A building that's truly carbon negative. What an interesting idea. This is science. We get it all over the place, and we like science around here. New Thought as a philosophy has always been about celebrating that point where science and faith, science and religion can walk hand in hand. And this, I would believe, is an answer to a long held prayer. Our next story is as well a spray. Now, this is coming out of India, and it's a bacterial spray that people are saying can solve India's air pollution and enrich local farmers. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Now, if you don't know, New Delhi has the most polluted air of any world city, and India itself has 26 of the world's 30th most polluted cities. And they're going to eliminate it's a common bacteria and fungi that's been developed to rapidly biodegrade agricultural waste in the fields of India, enriching degrading soils and saving thousands of material and labor costs. This is good. Very good. Now, there's a lot of science on this article, and we want you to go over and check it out for yourself because it's way too in depth for me to try to explain in just a minute or two here. So please head on over to the Good News Network. That's goodnewsnetwork.org. Thank you to our great producer, Diego, for having that link for us there. You can see it there. Go ahead and head over there, not right now, but after this show, and check out all the good news stories that are happening in the world. And one of our other great resources that we have found is Sunny Skies, sunnyskies.com. They've got a good news division. And one of the stories they're sharing this past week is that Scotland, the Scottish forests have recovered, and they're the largest they've been in almost a century. About 900 years that this took to happen. Now, 1,000 years ago, 20% of Scotland's land was covered by forest. By the mid 18th century, only 4% of the country was forested, and that's when things started to turn around, and it moved from deforestation to reforestation. For the last 2 centuries, forests have grown and are almost back to where they were about 1,000 years ago. Now, this is also similar in England. In the late 11th century in England, 15% of the country was forested. By the 19th century, the forest area was reduced to a third of what it once was. But it was then that England reached its transition point, and then since then, forests have doubled. The British government plans to plant around 75,000 acres of woodland each year by 2025. The Scottish government has a target for 21% forest coverage by 2032. You can see from the chart there, those lines go down and back up again. We really are making progress all across the planet. This is great news for Scotland and for England as well. Hey, folks, if you're wondering what you've stumbled onto, this is the Good News on the Good News Network, or on the New Thought Media Network. This is the Good News on the New Thought Media Network. We do this every Friday evening, and we're going to take a quick break, say thank you to some of our sponsors, let you know a little bit more about what's going on and what we're up to and what's coming. And we'll be right back with more of Good News. Stay with us. We'll be back in 1 minute. And we're back with more of the good news here on the New Thought Media Network. This show happens every Friday evening, 5 o'clock Mountain Time, a half hour of great good news stories to remind us we really are living in a world that works for all. This next story comes to us from the UK again. Researchers in the UK have developed a method to time jump human skin cells by 30 years. Yes, time travel is with us, folks. Here we go. This new epigenetics research program is turning back the aging clock for cells without losing their specialized functions. They're able to partially restore the function of older cells as well as rejuvenating the molecular measures of biological age in other cells. One of the things I learned this week, folks, is everybody's starting to measure everything at the molecular level. Like you're going to hear about this again later in another story. Everything is happening by how we measure on the molecular level. Now, while this breakthrough is in its earliest stages, the team at the Bahram Institute in the UK said it could easily revolutionize regenerative medicine. We're turning back time. Yes, I know Cher will. I'm not going to sing it because Cher's would not like that. In the future, the research, which was published in eLife, may also open up other therapeutic possibilities. The researchers observed that their method also had an effect on other genes linked to age-related disease and substances and symptoms. Excuse me. The APBA2 gene associated with Alzheimer's disease and the MAF gene with a role in the development of cataracts both showed changes toward youthful levels of transcription. All right, we're not saying this is how we're going to solve Alzheimer's, but this might just be something that helps in that direction. We're going to keep an eye on this research. Again, this is coming out of the Bahram Institute in the UK. The story's over on the Good News Network. Please check that out. Give them the attention that they deserve for the great reporting they do over there. Here's another really interesting one. A lot of stories coming from Europe and over on the other side of the planet this week. Among communities in Newfoundland, there's a group building a landfill for the future where every molecule is accounted for and reused. Every molecule. I told you we'd hear that word again tonight. The company's called 3F Waste Recovery, and they're very different. Their founder, Ben Wiper, said, quote, 3F is founded on the principle that every molecule that comes through our door, we want to have an application for it. My vision is the landfill of the future where producers can take anything they haven't processed to break it down into a form that has a function. The island's natural refuge, 3F, is making cod skin marine collagen supplements, processed cod pet treats, nitrogen-rich fish compost, processed cod cosmetic compounds, raw tallow from moose, cow, and sheep for candles and soap making, sheep wool insulation, sheep wool stuffing for duvets, bedding, pillows, and such, sheep wool cardboard, slug repellent for gardens, moose tallow soaps, smoked moose pet treats, moose and cow bone pet treats, and lanolin wool wax water repellent and lubricant. They released almost a dozen different products just last year alone. And like, okay, it's Newfoundland. So yeah, there's a lot of cod and there's a lot of moose. And the companies that are processing those animals for food and other uses, they have waste. And all this waste is now being used and repurposed molecule by molecule. This is in a collaborative report led by Smart Prosperity Institute, a think tank embedded in the University of Ottawa. 3F was identified among 200 circular economy startups as one of the most promising, and the company is looking to close a multi-million-dollar deal for its line of various pet treats, which will add 40 more rural full-time jobs in Newfoundland. Whoo-hoo, 3F pet treats. Remember that name, folks. If you see them on your stores in the next year, buy them up because they're doing good work to make sure that we're reusing every part of the resources that we are using there. All right, here's one that really caught my eye. Solar panels that make electricity at night. Now, that's right. We've always solar. It's the sun, right? What this article shares with us is that about 750 million people in the world do not have access to electricity at night. They may be able to through solar panels during the day, but storing solar energy requires a substantial battery system. Researchers from Stanford University constructed a photovoltaic cell that harvests energy from the environment during the day and the night, which gets rid of that need for batteries. The device makes use of the latest heat leaking. Excuse me. Let's start that part again. The device that they made makes use of the heat that's leaking from planet Earth back into space. Now, this energy is on the same order of magnitude as incoming solar radiation. So you want the thermal electricity to have very good contact with both the cold side, which is the solar cell, and the hot side, which is the ambient environment. If you don't have that, you're not going to get much power out of it. At night, solar cells radiate and lose heat to the sky, reaching temperatures of a few degrees above the ambient air. The device under development uses a thermoelectric module to generate voltage and current from the temperature gradient between the cell and the air. The process depends on the thermal design of the system. The gentleman who got this all started, and I would do no justice to his name, I'm not even going to try, has indicated that currently the program, none of what he's done is all the equipment he's using is not designed for this, and he's still able to create energy. He believes that if manufacturers start to keep this idea in mind when creating the materials, the solar cells and such, they'll get an even greater return of power. The article was published in Applied Physics Letters and also by the AIP Publishing, if you want to check that out more. And again, this story is over on the Good News Network. Check them out. Hey, folks, we've got a whole bunch of great news stories for you tonight before we're done. However, before we get there, we want to take another moment to say thank you to the people and the sponsors and organizations that make this all possible, those that are on our committed giving program. Give us just another minute to say thank you to some folks, and we'll be right back with more good news here on New Thought Media Network.
Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, for your continued support. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, for your monthly contribution. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, for your monthly contribution. And please help us welcome Om Center for Spiritual Living in La Mesa, California. Thank you for your monthly donation. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, for your most generous donation. And a special thanks to Hefferlin Foundation for your generous technology grant. And Suze Ajit, thank you for your very generous donation. And a super special thank you to Dr. Tracy Brown, RSCP. Thanks for being a super donor. And a big shout out to all our committed donors.
And we're back with more of the good news here on the New Thought Media Network. Thanks for joining us, folks, here on a Friday evening. If you're with us here live, feel free to comment and chat along. If you're watching on a rebroadcast or at a later time, please feel free to chat along. We'll take a look at those comments and get back with you as we can. And of course, we have a good email address, goodnews@ntmedia.org. If you'd like to be a special guest presenter with us and come on the show and share a good news story with us some Friday night, let us know. Or if you know of a good news story you think we should cover, please let us know. See something throughout the week, drop an email, goodnews@ntmedia.org. We'll take a look at it and maybe use it in an upcoming broadcast. All right, here's an interesting one. How would you like to accidentally win $10 million? Well, this is what happened to LaQuadra Edwards, and I do hope I'm pronouncing that name properly. She lives in California. She was at a Vaughn supermarket in Los Angeles, California, and had just put $40 into the California Lottery Scratchers vending type machine when she said some rude person bumped into her. Well, what happened is they bumped into her. She accidentally pushed one of the buttons on the machine and got a $30 ticket instead of the less expensive tickets that she normally buys. Took the tickets, went outside, sat in her car, started scratching them off, and realized she won on that $30 ticket the grand prize of $10 million. Ms. Edwards said, I didn't really believe it at first, but I got on the 405 and kept looking down at the ticket. I almost crashed my car. So I pulled over, looked at it again and again, and scanned it with the mobile app provided by the California Lottery, and just kept thinking to herself, this can't be right. But it was right, folks. And Ms. Edwards is in possession of a $10 million winning ticket, all because some rude person bumped into her and she hit the wrong button. I think there is abundance everywhere we look, and that abundance is not just limited to the lottery, although we do have another lottery story for you. This one is a Frenchman who won, he was playing the Euro Millions jackpot, and this indicates he won 200 million euro in that jackpot. It was actually the second largest jackpot they've ever seen in Euro Millions. And the lucky winner established an endowment fund, the Anyama, I think I'm saying that right, endowment fund that is designed to protect and revitalize forests and the preservation and regeneration of biodiversity and the support of family caregivers. Now, the winner wants to remain anonymous, but he did say he only plays during very large jackpots, and the entire reason he plays was to devote the money that he would win to this fund. He said, during my lifetime, I've witnessed Côte d'Ivoire, the incessant passage of trucks loaded with trees cut in the forest of Burkina Faso. We've never seen in any initiative of this size, but then again, we've rarely seen such high winnings, said someone from the lottery office. Above all, it is an expression of a conviction that I want to share with many people as possible. Giving makes people happy and constitute a tremendous lever for transforming indignation into concrete and useful action, said the man. Again, he wants to remain anonymous, so we don't have his name. We don't know exactly where, but this is the kind of good news story. When we find a windfall, when a windfall comes our way, we share it. Don't take it and hoard it. It doesn't do no good sitting under your bed. No matter what that is, we invite you here to share the good, to share the winnings, whatever they may be, and share the good that you find in the world. And the remainder of our stories this evening are all based around people doing good. Next up is a 73-year-old man in China who was watching his grandchildren. One of them fell into a ditch, and it's actually a water pit, about 2 meters deep. He heard one of the other children screaming. He ran over without a care, without a thought, jumped into the ditch and saved the child. There's a good little video of it over on the, and this one comes to us from sunnyskies.com. You can check that out. And there's a short video of him that was captured on a surveillance camera running off and going to save the child. People Folks, people, we do what's right. And it doesn't matter who we are or who the people is, who the person is that's in need. What I have found is the human spirit is more than generous to jump in and support people. Again, whether it's our job or not. This next story comes to us from Maryland, the state of Maryland here in the United States. Two Maryland police officers were sitting in their patrol car not long ago and watched a car veer off the road and drive into through a park, around some trees, and then through a fence, and ended up becoming submerged in a pond within the park. The car was taking on water. The supervisor and the officer leaped into the water and began a rescue. They were able to rescue all four occupants, a 9-month-old and a 3-year-old. They got them out first. Had to break some of the windows to get into the car, and then went back into the water and were able to rescue the adults that were in the front as well. Everybody was wet and cold, and everybody was uninjured and is recovering perfectly and is fine. The good work continues. People do what they do, whether it doesn't matter where. And truthfully, we hear so many terrible stories about the police anymore, and well, I like to occasionally focus on some good news stories with the police. And this is another one that I found this week, coming out of Oceanside, California. The Oceanside Police Department has a random act of kindness program. I'd never heard of that before. I mean, I've heard of random acts of kindness, but not in a police department. Well, this police department, they've been giving out gift cards at a local gas station. Now, California, of anywhere in the United States, probably has the highest gas prices right now for a number of reasons that we won't get into. However, these police officers, the Oceanside police force, is giving out gas cards. They did that this past week. On this article, it does say that they intend to do this at grocery stores and give out gift cards at grocery stores in the near future as well. Now, folks, I have long been a proponent of grocery store gift cards. You can go in, buy a bunch of $5 gift cards, and when you see people panhandling out on the streets, we can share our good by handing them a gift card. And we know that chances are very high they're going to get something they need rather than something that keeps them on the streets with that $5 or whatever gift card. If you'd like to do some good in the world and want to have some fun doing it, pick up a handful of $5 gift cards the next time you're in the supermarket and then give them away freely. I think you'll experience the joy of giving just as these police officers must. All right, our final story for the night comes from Idaho. We want to introduce you to Ben Miller. Congratulations, Ben. Kudos to you. Ben raised over $1,000 at one time for the Idaho Humane Society. Now, our headline there says $2,000. How that happens is he put up a lemonade stand a couple years ago and raised $200. Did so well with it that he put up another lemonade stand not long ago and raised $600. Well, that caught the attention of the local media, radio, and others. This time out, he raised a little, just under $1,200. So we're rounding up to about $2,000 that Ben has donated over the last 2 years to the Humane Society. It says here in the article that he walked into the Humane Society with a large bag full of cash. I think it's pretty cool. Not only is he helping the people in the Humane Society in his area, but he's not afraid to walk around with a large bag of cash. I mean, when was the last time you saw a 9-year-old with a large bag of cash? Kudos, Ben. We're so grateful you're on the planet. I got a feeling we'll hear more about young Ben Miller over time. I have a sense he'll continue to do the good work of being a good human on the planet. And that's what we're here for, folks. It's time for us, all of us, I believe, to go out and do more of the good work, being a good human on the planet. That's your call for action this week. That's our call for you. Find a way this weekend to be a good human. I know you are. Just go out there and do it. Find a way to share your goodness with the world. All right, I'm Rev Robert. I'm going to get out of here for Friday night. Let you enjoy the rest of your evening. Join us in a half an hour for Pastor Michael Mangus and the Fireside Chat. Until next time, peace and blessings.